Brandon Aversano is the founder and CEO of the Alloy Market. They're an organization changing the way that people sell their precious metals, prioritizing transparency, trust, and leading an industry leading payouts. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Thank you so much for having me, George. Pleasure to be here.
Excited to have you on. Tell us a little about your personal lives, more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I bounced around corporate America for about a decade. Started my career in management consulting, ended up moving to New York City, where I worked for JetBlue, and then ended up working for JP Morgan Chase. While I was working for JP Morgan, I was unexpectedly and unfortunately and surprisingly diagnosed with testicular cancer at age 30. And it was a big shock, as you can imagine. And my medical bill started to skyrocket, is what actually started to happen. So I was on disability and on medical leave, and I actually attempted to sell some gold. I was living in Center City, Philadelphia at the time. I had inherited some kind of funky rings and necklaces from my grandmother who had passed the year prior and thought this is the perfect use of those funds to pay down my medical debt. And so I took the gold to a couple of jewelry stores and pawn shops. And sadly, what I found was that it was intimidating, bullying, offered me 20 cents on the dollar. So, needless to say, ended up not selling the jewelry. And went home and thought to myself, there has to be an online way to do this because there's an online way to do everything. And sadly, what I found was that the online options were merely digital equivalents of the brick and mortar pawn shops. So kind of same opaque domain names and just the same kind of model, just taking advantage of the lack of customer education. And so it was sort of a lightning bolt moment for me where I thought to myself, hey, if I'm being taken advantage of in my most vulnerable moment that I've ever been in, I am quite sure a lot of other people are experiencing the same thing. And so we launched the alloy market. And you said it at the beginning, but we like to say we're the highest paying and most transparent platform for folks to sell their gold jewelry or other precious metals. We launched in June of 2023, and I am so honored and humbled and proud to tell you that we have transacted with clients in two territories, all 50 states, thousands of customers, and paid out millions of dollars to clients all around the United States. So it has been a humbling and rewarding experience since launching, but that is why I do what I do, and that is where I am, where I am.
Incredible. How are you doing with the cancer?
Thank you so much for asking. I am in remission and still getting tests every 8 to 12 weeks, and that's about a 5 year commitment, if you will.
My goodness.
Yes.
I can't imagine being any age and getting a cancer diagnosis, let alone 30 years old.
Yeah, it certainly made me start questioning my mortality and just things that I hadn't really asked myself before. Like, is the corporate career something that I actually really want out of my life? And turns out this opportunity just really organically presented itself, and so I took it.
So if you can tell me that you don't want to talk about this, but so you were how old when you were
I was
when you got diagnosed? You're 30,
exactly 30. Yeah,
and how long ago was that?
that was 3 years ago.
Okay. All right, got it. And I mean, obviously, you talked about having to go through treatment and piling up medical bills. It's not easy to start a company. It's certainly not while you're fighting cancer.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that a question or a statement?
Yeah, right.
It's
Correct.
both.
Yes.
Hey, I think it
It's an
was
observation.
Winston Churchill said, "Never waste a crisis," right? And I think for me it was both a way to kind of get through it. It was something to focus on, and it was a way to give back to other people. And yeah, it just really it was a mission. It gave me a mission to focus on during the treatment journey.
I I I I bet. And I bet that feeling of dealing with predatory folks, feeling like getting screwed and ripped off is that's man, I have a strong dislike of injustice, and I imagine you do too. So
That's deeply, deeply ingrained. So yeah, it's been an eye-opening experience over the last couple of years, kind of learning the industry because I was so far outside of precious metals and gold trading and all that kind of stuff. So Really, the deeper you get into it, the worse it gets. Honestly, it is the Wild West. I will tell you that.
Okay, that was my next question is how is it regulated, if at all?
Yeah, so it is regulated. It's regulated under the Bank Secrecy Act and the Patriot Act, and so there are sort of reporting requirements, but it's not regulated in the sense that there's any kind of standardization around, consumer treating consumers right, if you will, right? There's no standardization around like what you have to pay people, what you have to disclose, all of those sorts of things. So there's definitely regulations to comply with, but it's it's there are a lot of bad actors out there who are taking advantage of the fact that folks just don't understand how precious metals are traded.
Is it knowable or just from your experience, what is the breakdown of sellers of gold?
Yeah, you mean from like a demographic
Yeah,
perspective?
like my mom died, I've got this jewelry or whatever.
Yes, that is one. So we do get a lot of folks who have inherited pieces. So I kind of I don't like to say I jokingly say, but I sort of jokingly say nobody ever wakes up in the morning and says to themselves, "I'm gonna sell gold today." There's almost always a catalyst, and it's often not necessarily a positive one, right? It's financial crisis or a financial crunch. It's medical debt. It is somebody passed and you've inherited something. And so it's typically folks who are in a position where something not great has happened and they are seeking extra liquidity to help them through that moment. And so it's a really emotionally laden transaction. And so that was one uh, really heavy focus of ours at the beginning was to make sure that we invested heavily behind the client experience and kind of imbue that with a lot of empathy. Because these folks are selling for a reason and they want to be heard and they deserve to be.
Yeah, we'll credit you for that. Um, just to sure everybody who's listening is kind of putting themselves in that situation of being in a tough spot or grieving and trying to exhaust and go through the decision tree on what to do with this and wanting to keep it but knowing you're never going to wear it. Now I'm doing it, and
Right.
there's different opportunities. And so to be empathetic and to really walk people through this difficult and unknown process, that's awesome. And that's probably why you're successful.
Well, I appreciate that so much, and it's been one other example I'll give you is not only have we sort of helped what we would consider to be our direct to consumer clients, like if you hit our website, thealloymarket.com, folks kind of come to us that way. We've actually supported in the dozens of senior citizen clients who were part of a large scale sort of national theft where this organization was convincing senior citizens to purchase silver and gold as retirement, like an retirement vehicle. And then the actual depositories were selling out the physical assets from underneath the accounts. So when the seniors went in to basically cash in, there was nothing left,
Ugh.
or very little left. And so, we started getting these phone calls of this 80-year-old woman who lives in New Jersey who's like, my house is about to get foreclosed on because before my entire retirement's gone, and someone just called me and said, I'm going to send you, the last 300 pounds of silver we have. What do I do with it? Right. And I'm just so grateful that they chose to come to Alloy because I just have such a strong hunch that had they not chosen to come to us, there would have been further kind of untoward behavior. So it really is the Wild West, and I do feel like Alloy plays a really, really important role in trying to change the industry.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So you see that there's a clear opportunity, there's clear problems, there's gaps in the market, all of these things.
Yeah.
And so, but that's not, just stand up the company, or maybe you do. What are the key partnerships maybe that you need, or what goes into running an effective the how do you run the alloy market? How does it
Yeah.
work?
No, it's a great question. So we are not a refiner. We don't have sort of a refining capability, and so we partner with some of the largest precious metal refineries in the United States. They melt all of the precious metals that they are contracted to purchase from us down, and then all of those precious metals are used in things that we use every day, like MRI machines and electric vehicle batteries and cell phones and all sorts of electronics. So our refinery partners are a really, really key piece of the puzzle. And then we also have started to kind of experiment with some resale. A lot of the pieces that we get are beautiful and intact and not broken. And so there are occasions on which we can actually resell that piece for greater than its melt value, if you will. So if we get in like a branded piece, like a David Yurman or like a Tiffany piece, for example, we may be able to kind of give that item a second life.
Melt value,
Yes. Should I describe what melt
please.
value means? Yeah, so melt value means if you were to Google right now, what is the price of gold? Google will spit out a number. It'll say gold today is worth $3,125 an ounce. That means if you melted 1 ounce of pure gold today, that is how much that is worth. That is what melt value means. It's essentially like when you melt the metal down, what is the value from the perspective of the metal?
Got it. And I don't buy a ton of jewelry, but my suspicion is that the amount that I paid for set bracelet ring is going to be greater than the melt value.
That would be an excellent assumption. Yes. So the markup on the retail side is enormous. I mean, it can range anywhere from 500 to 2000% on top of the cost of the metal. And so yes, when you are purchasing jewelry, it is very much like a car in that as soon as you purchase it and leave the jewelry store, it immediately starts diminishing in value. Although there are certain pieces that will carry value. You know, if you buy a branded Cartier piece or something like that, but you could comfortably expect your piece to depreciate as soon as you purchase it.
And how often or how well do consumers know that, or do they know that at all?
I am always the bearer of bad news, which is a really, really difficult position to be in. And it's hard, you know, it's really hard to tell someone who just purchased an item 3 months ago and now fell on hard times and needs to cash in that, hey, this was marked up 500-600% before, and we can only pay you X amount against this necklace, and it's a terrible feeling, but it's part of our mission. It's part of our job is that education piece. So
So education, transparency, and then you says, or I said industry leading payout. So
yeah.
how do you set that, or how do you decide how much you're going to pay?
Yeah, so it's a really simple formula. And transparency for us is the name of the game. You can call us, text us. We will tell you exactly what we'll pay you before you even send us items in. But it is a combination of the weight of the item. So we use a scale that is inspected by the state and licensed by Pennsylvania. It is a combination of the weight, the purity. So what I mean by that is what carat is the gold, if you will, or is it sterling silver or fine silver, which is like, pure silver. So it's weight, purity, and then the spot price, which I mentioned earlier. So if you were to Google what is the price of gold today, it would say $3,125. It's essentially that's the formula. You multiply the weight by the purity by the spot price, and that's your cash offer.
How do y'all make money?
So we take a small delta between the cost of the payout and the value of the metal. And so our average take is around 15%,
Got it.
1.5.
Nice. All right. So how does it actually work if I have a piece and I'm interested in determining the value of it, and then if I do want to sell it, how does that actually work?
Yeah, so we actually recommend the most accurate way to give you a value on your piece is to actually send it to our lab. So if you were to go to thealloymarket.com, there's a button that says request a free appraisal kit. We will actually mail you completely free of charge without obligation an appraisal kit, in which you will find instructions, a couple of other pieces of material, and then the most important part, which is a fully insured, pre-labeled FedEx 2-day return envelope into which you would place your valuables and ship them back to Alloy's laboratory. That parcel is automatically insured for $25,000 at no cost to you. So that's free of charge. The very same day our lab receives your valuables, they are tested, as I mentioned, weighed, tested for their purity. You will then receive an offer via email. You have the option to accept the offer in its entirety. You can pick, I want to sell these three bracelets, but get these three rings back. We're happy to return those items. Should you want your entire lot or deal sent back, we're happy to return your items free of charge. And should you accept your offer, we pay you out the very same day. So it's a pretty quick process from beginning to end. It's less than a week if you ship your valuables right away. But the reason I say the best way to get an estimate is to actually ship in your valuables is because the price of gold changes every single day, and our equipment is really, really accurate in terms of testing. So, we want to weigh it. We want to make sure that it's actually 14 karat or 18 karat, and then we'll give you the best offer. However, feel free to call, text. We're always happy to give an estimate if you have an idea of how much your piece weighs and what the carat is.
Got it. I love it. So you mentioned obviously taking the gold and working with one of your refiners to repurpose it, but you're also experimenting or rolling out a resale market. What else does the future hold?
Yeah, partnerships, I think for sure. One of the things that we found is that when folks or clients come to us, they more often than not have more than just gold to sell. So I'll give you a great example of this. We work with a wonderful company based out of New York City called Worthy, and Worthy is focused almost exclusively on diamonds. So they help individuals maximize their diamond resale, right? And so we'll have clients who call us and say, "Hey, I have a gold ring, but there's a 1.5 carat diamond in it, or a 2 carat diamond, or something like that." And instead of saying, "Hey, we're not diamond buyers, so go ahead and send in your ring and, we'll just pay for the gold that's sorry about the diamond," we're able to partner with a company like Worthy and say to our mutual client, "Hey, we're actually going to be able to pay you for your gold, and we're going to be able to auction your diamond for you to maximize the value of the piece." And so we're going to do that with watch partners and all sorts of different, you can kind of understand all the different permutations of jewelry, but partnerships are going to be big this year just to kind of continue to improve on the client experience.
It makes a ton of sense. I imagine most watches obviously have watch parts to them, and I
Right.
understand that that's immensely valuable because it's not easy to make a watch, and obviously gems. So
There you go. Lots of gems. The scary part about gems, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news again, but gems are they don't carry a ton of value. So just be very mindful as a consumer when you're going to purchase gemstones. They are actually quite common and really hard to resell for a high value.
well, there you go. So
Yeah.
well, anyway,
Just be
everybody,
mindful.
everybody can make their own decisions about all of it, and all
There
that
you
you are doing is giving them transparent education and pricing and making the process really easy. So I think that that's great. It sounds like you are well on your way, if not already, of solving the problem that you set out to. So good job.
Well, thank you so much, George. I appreciate it. And for anybody listening to, we always love to add a little bonus. So if you go to the website, we have a referral code box. Put in the referral code podcast 25, and we will literally just add $25 on top of your offer.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. Give us the websites again, and yeah,
It is thealloymarket.com, thealloymarket.com. All you have to do is click request a free appraisal kit, enter podcast 25 in the referral code area, and we will add $25 to your cash offer.
love it. Well, if you enjoyed as much as I did, show Brandon your appreciation. Share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to the Alloy Market, Thealloy market.com. Click that box for a free appraisal kit and enter podcast 25, and you are on your way. Thanks again, Brandon.
Thank you so much for having me, George. Pleasure.
Until next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.